Welcome to Smart Bites.
Great to be here.
Today we're doing a deep dive into something a lot of couples face, the complexities of sexless marriages.
Yeah, it's a topic that comes up more often than people might think.
We've looked at insights from, various reputable articles, expert opinions, trying to understand the emotional side, the causes.
And maybe some ways forward, right? When that intimacy fades.
Exactly. So the big question we're tackling is, what are the key things contributing to sexless marriages? And crucially, what can couples actually do about it?
It's a really important conversation. And, defining it is interesting. Experts often say less than 10 times a year.
10 times. Okay.
But it's not just about the number, is it? The article stressed that. It's more about satisfaction, intimacy levels.
Right. It seems the key isn't strictly frequency, but how satisfied each partner feels, how connected they are.
Precisely. You could have a marriage with infrequent sex that feels really fulfilling if both people are content.
And the opposite too, right? Lots of sex doesn't automatically mean deep intimacy.
Absolutely not. So why is this situation, relatively common? The stats are quite telling.
Yeah, what do they show?
Estimates are around 15 to 20% of couples are in what experts would call a sexless marriage.
15 to 20%. Wow.
And a 2017 study by Dr. Patty Britton found over 15% of married men and, quite strikingly, 26% of married women reported no sex in the previous year.
26% of women. That's significant. It makes you wonder if maybe our expectations about sex and marriage don't always match up with reality long term.
That's a really good point. Or maybe it's just hard to talk about, so the figures could even be higher.
Could be. Okay, so let's talk impact. The emotional effects seem, pretty profound according to our sources. Loneliness is a big one.
Oh, definitely. Feeling alone even when you're right there next to your partner. That sense of emotional abandonment.
And that feeling, it must breed resentment over time, right? Feeling deprived of that intimacy.
Exactly. It builds frustration, maybe emotional walls start going up. It becomes harder to connect on any level.
And it hits personally, too. Self-esteem, feeling unwanted, that's gotta hurt.
It really does. It can erode your sense of self-worth, make you feel insecure.
Yeah, the TEDx Stanley Park talk mentioned something quite stark. 50% of men in one survey said they wouldn't have married their spouse if they knew it would end up sexless.
Wow. That really underlines how central sexual intimacy is for many people's idea of marriage. Is it about needs or maybe societal scripts? Hard to say.
It's complex, and feeling rejected like that,
Yeah.
it can lead to pulling away, right?
Emotional withdrawal.
It's a defense mechanism, isn't it? Avoiding deeper conversations, maybe even avoiding touch to protect yourself from more rejection.
How does that usually show up day to day? More arguments.
Yeah, often. Frequent arguments, heightened conflict, the underlying unhappiness just sort of bubbles up as irritability over small things.
Makes sense. And the sources also mention increased temptation for infidelity.
Sadly, yes. When those needs aren't met within the marriage, looking elsewhere can seem, tempting for some.
The TEDx talk even brought up a genetic link, the DRD4 gene. Yeah, linked to novelty seeking. The idea being a sexless marriage might create an environment where that tendency gets sort of activated.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And worrying. But beyond affairs, just the chronic stress of it all.
Oh, absolutely. It can lead to anxiety, depression, emotional burnout. It's a constant strain.
And what about trust? Does that erode?
It often does. You start questioning if your partner really values the relationship, or you. Mutual respect can suffer too.
And kids pick up on tension, don't they? So it impacts family dynamics, parenting.
Definitely. Marital stress rarely stays just between the couple.
Ultimately, it seems like it can really undermine hope for the future together. Planning, dreaming. That gets harder when a core connection feels broken.
It truly ripples out. These emotional effects go way beyond the bedroom.
Yeah.
So, given how serious the consequences are, why does this happen? What are the common reasons?
Well, health issues are definitely a big category.
Like what specifically?
Physical illness, hormonal imbalances, low testosterone, menopause also, mental health conditions like depression.
Right. And medications too, that's crucial.
Yes. Things like antidepressants, blood pressure drugs, even some birth control pills can lower libido. Easy to overlook.
Very easy. Then there's the emotional side, feeling disconnected.
Yeah, that seems huge. Not feeling understood, feeling neglected, emotionally unappreciated if that bond isn't there.
Physical intimacy often follows suit, or rather it disappears. That lack of emotional connection is a major barrier.
And just life, stress, lifestyle factors.
Totally. Work stress, money worries, parenting demands.
Mm.
It all drains your energy.
Leaves nothing left for connection sometimes. And that lack of connection just becomes normal.
It can, yeah, becomes the pattern. That TEDx talk had that statistic about phones.
Oh, yeah, the something.
10% of people checking phones during sex, 35% right after.
Yeah.
Talk about disconnection.
That's quite something. What about past issues? Trauma, conflict?
Also significant. Betrayal, unresolved arguments, past trauma like childhood abuse or infidelity. These things can make intimacy feel unsafe.
Like a defense mechanism kicking in.
Exactly. The TEDx talk example of the unconsummated marriage for 7 years because of the wife's past abuse. It shows how deep these roots can go.
It really highlights the complexity. And sometimes it's just incompatibility.
Sexual incompatibility, yeah. Different libidos, different preferences, maybe different comfort levels. That creates tension, frustration, desire fades.
Makes sense. The TEDx talk also brought up biology, that PEA chemical.
Right, phenylethylamine, the new love chemical. It naturally drops off after, what, a couple of years?
Often right around when people get married.
Exactly. So that initial intense drive naturally lessens, which can affect frequency.
And societal stuff, too. Negative sex ed.
Definitely mentioned. Especially for girls and women, messages that sex is duty, scary, all about risk, not pleasure or connection. That leaves a mark.
Creates inhibitions. And for boys and men.
The talk suggested pornography can act as a sort of readily available but ultimately hollow sex education. It doesn't teach relational intimacy.
Interesting point. And finally, just being stretched thin. Caring for kids and parents.
Yeah, the sandwich generation effect, sometimes called bridging generations. Sheer exhaustion from caring for multiple generations leaves little room for intimacy. It's often a mix of these things.
So, a lot of potential factors. Which leads to the big question, can you fix it? Can a sexless relationship be saved?
The general consensus seems to be yes, often, but
It takes work.
absolutely. Effort, commitment from both partners, and the starting point, overwhelmingly, seems to be communication.
Talking about it honestly, getting those reasons out in the open, physical, emotional, situational.
Yeah, you have to understand the why before you can address the how. Then you can explore solutions together, maybe lifestyle tweaks, maybe professional help.
Rekindling that emotional connection.
Exactly. So practically speaking, what do the sources suggest? How do you actually fix it?
Okay, number 1, open communication. Honest talks, non-judgmental. Using I feel statements.
Crucial for reducing defensiveness, creating that safe space to be vulnerable.
And sometimes that's hard to do alone.
Definitely recommended. Individual or couples counseling can give you tools, help you navigate tricky conversations, uncover deeper issues.
Sex therapy specifically mentioned too for things like performance anxiety or mismatched libidos.
Right. And then addressing the physical side we talked about.
Health checkups, looking at hormones, managing illnesses, checking medications, getting enough sleep.
Even small lifestyle changes, healthier eating, exercise can help with energy and well-being, which impacts desire.
And bringing back the romance.
Yes. Date nights, thoughtful gestures, creating shared positive experiences, rebuilding that emotional intimacy first.
Which makes physical intimacy feel more natural, less pressured.
Precisely. And dealing with old hurts, unresolved conflicts, betrayals.
Those need talking through, maybe with a therapist's help. Forgiveness is often part of it.
Definitely. And expanding what intimacy means.
Not just intercourse.
Right. Cuddling, kissing, massage.
Yeah.
Physical affection without the pressure of it having to lead to sex. Reintroducing touch gently.
And being realistic about the timeline.
It's so important. It takes time. Focus on progress, not instant perfection. Celebrate the small wins.
Make it a priority too, like scheduling it.
It sounds unromantic, maybe, but yes. If it's important, you make time for it, just like work or other commitments. Consciously prioritize connection.
And maybe shake things up a bit. Novelty.
Combating boredom, yeah. Trying new things, talking about fantasies, experimenting together. The TEDx talk had that playful idea.
The naked arguments.
Yeah. Maybe not for everyone, but the principle is sound. Inject some playfulness, some novelty.
Keep it fresh. And what about non-sexual touch? Sensate focus.
Yes, that came up. Focusing purely on the sensation of touch, giving and receiving pleasure without any goal of arousal or orgasm. It rebuilds connection and reduces pressure.
And understanding responsive desire.
Crucial. Especially for many women, desire doesn't always come first. It often arises during sexual activity. Knowing that changes the approach.
That could be a game changer for some couples. Okay, so intimacy needs change over time, right? Through different stages of marriage.
Absolutely. What works early on might need adjusting later.
In the early years.
Establish good communication about sex and expectations from the start. Be aware female desire might dip early on and talk about it with understanding.
Then the kid years. Chaos.
Yes. Prioritize small gestures, share the load, schedule couple time even short bits, and be flexible about when and how sex happens.
And that point about wanting a baby boosting desire but having one, decreasing it.
Becoming dynamic.
Yeah.
Then the empty nest phase arrives.
A chance to reconnect.
Definitely. Shared hobbies, tackling old issues, quality time, talking about how desires might have changed.
And later life?
Adapt to physical changes with open communication. Modify practices if needed. Focus on affection, emotional closeness. Sex doesn't have an expiry date. Healthy people can enjoy it well into later years. And running through all of that is emotional intimacy.
The foundation.
Exactly. It's a huge predictor of sexual satisfaction, especially for women. Men might sometimes connect emotionally through sex, so bridging that difference with communication is key.
So when is it really time to say, okay, we need outside help? What are the signs?
Persistent lack of intimacy, despite trying, finding it impossible to talk about it without fighting or shutting down.
Growing emotional distance?
Yes, feeling like strangers. Unresolved trauma that's clearly blocking things. A lack of any affection, even non-sexual touch, or constantly using distractions, work, hobbies, anything to avoid the issue.
Therapy provides that neutral ground.
A safe space for honesty, for uncovering the real root causes with guidance.
It really sounds like a complex journey navigating intimacy and marriage, but the main message seems hopeful.
I think so. A sexless phase, while difficult, doesn't have to be the end. Connection can be rebuilt.
The key takeaways seem to be communicate openly and honestly.
Understand the many factors that can affect desire.
And be proactive.
Yeah.
Seek solutions, whether just the two of you or with professional help.
Absolutely.
We really hope this deep dive has given you, our listeners, some valuable things to think about regarding intimacy and marriage. What really resonated with you today?
Yeah. What questions came up for you? Just starting the conversation, even in your own head, is a huge step.
Maybe consider looking into some of the resources mentioned, like therapy, or just reading more about maintaining connection through life stages.
It's all about fostering that bond, allowing it to evolve and adapt as you and your partner do.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. What's one small, intentional thing you could do this week, perhaps, to nurture either the emotional or the physical connection in your own relationship?
Sometimes the smallest steps make the biggest difference over time.